Hello everybody, welcome back to Dominions 5. We're playing as Late Age Man in the first round of the tournament. We have received our Astral and Fire Gems in the trades. Patala has claimed a throne. We found some magic sites, so what site did we find here? The Ancient Forge. Oh, this is a big deal. And Deep Crevasse. So we found another Earth Gem site here. But here we found an Ancient Forge. This is a construction bonus site, which is fantastic. So that means that for a 5-gem item, they now only cost 4. And if you have a hammer, they only cost 2. So this is excellent news. This is a fantastic site for us. And we happen to already have it forted up and labbed up. So that's pretty great. And then we finished our castle here, and we finished our fort here. We're pretty tight on money because we're building so much infrastructure. I want to make this into a citadel. I can't right now. It's still worth upgrading it because we are getting more income as our administration value goes up, the higher the level of the fort is. But my next priority in terms of money is I want to get labs everywhere. I've stopped recruiting, or next turn I guess, I stopped recruiting everything but sacreds. We'll talk about it next turn because obviously I didn't do it this turn. So we are building a lab here. I guess that's what we spent our money on this turn. And if you look at research, we are 2 turns away now from enchantment 4. And that is it. There's no outgoing diplomacy. A very quick turn. This is just kind of, these turns are zipping by. Not too much to worry about on our side. I don't think we noticed anything too special on the map here. Let's just load up the next turn right away. So turn 17. Okay. All right, let's start by looking at these magic. So 3 magic sites: Painted Cavern, Copper, Earthblood Seepage. So this is 1 Astral, 1 Air, and 2 Earth. We actually have pretty bad air income and fantastic earth income, which is surprising, but hey, I'll take it. So that is always nice. Next turn, we finally have our fire, our enchantment 4. But let's look at the rest of these messages. So there was a battle here. This looks like Agartha has taken over a throne. So let's see what throne this was. Oh, this is a pretty easy throne, actually. It's just a whole bunch of, I love these stones, a whole bunch of militia and archers. No problem. And plus these mages are actually pretty bad. Like, this is not going to make good elementals, so I'm not surprised he won this. He seems to be using, excuse me while I cough just a second. Okay. He seems to have been spamming out his light crossbowmen, which is just to spam out as much crossbow DPS. Garthan crossbows, they do a bit of extra damage. The problem is they have very low precision because the crossbowmen are blind. Like, that's the thing. Well, they're not blind, but the thing about Agartha is they live in caves, so they just have bad vision. So that's really a downside, I think, to these guys. But anyways, that's life. Here's his profits. So we can see what his bless is. He's got reinvigoration and death and decay weapon. So he's got some kind of death and earth paths on his pretender. So he is obviously going for a scalesy build. Looks like he has some penumbrals and some shard whites, but for the most part, this is just heavy infantry. Just heavy infantry. This is like nothing too special, just crossbows with heavy infantry in front. Which, to be honest, is obviously going to do a great job of clearing all this up. I feel like, so, yeah, you can see one of the things that's happening is that the throne here had a ton of archers, and these archers, of course, melt once they hit the heavy infantry, but I feel like the archers were able to kill a ton of, he lost 20 crossbowmen. Now, these are cheap, I feel like maybe in terms of scripting, if he had started the crosswoman really at the back, here, if we look at that again, I feel like he should have put his crosswoman really far back and also in a skirmish formation, and maybe do like a hold and fire closest or something like that. They would have maybe not shot the first volley or two, and then after they would have just thrown all their stuff onto this infantry. And then you have these guys in front on hold and attack, right? And what that would do is that the indie infantry would come forward and it would get hammered by the crossbows. But what it would do is it would keep your crossbows out of range of these archers. So these archers would be shooting down on the heavy infantry, which are completely immune to archer fire. Okay, 18 protection with the kite shield, immune to archers. And if anything, these guys might throw some friendly fire on the militia. In addition, if he had pinged this throne before, he would have seen the formation. I would have put a squad here on the north of heavy infantry, or maybe these guys, I don't know, on hold and attack archers. Because, like, these guys should have gone north and just come into this and pummeled it and destroyed that. Because you can see here so his crossbows are fighting this, but yeah, I feel if he'd gone back here, yeah, you might lose, like, you might not fire crossbows in the first 2 rounds, but I think that might have been a safer script. Anyways, he gets it, good for him. Then we have a scout pinging this throne. I don't know if we have seen, no, we're not in a position to take it because Tianchi has cut us off from that throne, and I'm not sure if we pinged it or if somebody else pinged it. Yeah, nothing too scary here. Yeah, one Skella spammer. Phantasmal warriors, and heavy calf, but this is Atlantis, so they have magic weapons on everything, so these are not an issue at all. We got barbarians here. They unfortunately took this province. Fortunately, we didn't have anything building here, so we didn't lose anything. We're going to take it back. We just kind of put together a random small army. It's barbarians, but everybody here's got crossbows, so we shouldn't take too many casualties. We lost a scout here. Oh, right. So this scout here from Tianchi was making me think that he might attack. Now, this isn't a ton. This is a very small army. This would be very bold for him to try to take a throne with such a small army. But he might be getting reinforcements and be planning to attack this next turn. So I'm trying to keep this area scouted to know when and if he's intending to take this throne. Because if I could, I would like to take it for myself, obviously. And I think that's it. We finished our fortress here. We're building a lab, finally. We're just spending all our money on infrastructure. We are not recruiting any more units anywhere, just mages where we can afford them. Here I've taken off unit recruitment that isn't sacreds, and I've also switched from, I had pretty early on gone to 3 wardens instead of a mage and a warden per turn, but 3 wardens is just more expensive, so in an effort to save gold to build up my infrastructure, I'm going back to a mage plus a warden per turn. We got our fort up. We can't afford to upgrade it yet. That is life. So next turn we'll have enchantment 4. I'm going to queue up construction next. I do want to get alteration 4 for Wind Guide. I'm going to queue up some construction next because there's possibility of trading with Agartha, and he might want some owl quills. And I do want to get construction anyway, so it's not. So I'm going to do a quick detour to get construction 2. And that is basically it for the turn. Next turn will be the big script for attacking this throne. So I think we can load that up right now. I don't think there's anything else really to point out here. Yeah, let's just load up the next turn. So this was 17. Let's load up turn 18. Okay. Oh, well, we take on the barbs here. Nothing too fancy. We got crossbows. We've done a fair bit of damage, and then we just have the big alpha where we meet, and that's it. So we lost 1 warden. Oh well, unexpected event. We got some unrest. We lost some province income. Tianqi gets. Oh, I didn't mean to view it. I just wanted to see where that was. One of his new forts just got attacked by trolls. So whatever he was planning to do, if he was planning to take this throne, now he has to go deal with this. And in fact, but actually he moved. So last time he had an army here, and now he doesn't anymore. So that army either went here or here. So I'm not sure what his plans are in terms of his army movements. But the longer he stays away from this throne, the more time it gives me to come and take it. So in terms of just infrastructure, let's see what we were doing. We got the lab here. I think, yeah, we finally have enough money to upgrade a fortress here. And that's it, pretty much. And, you know, mages where we can. And we're finally making our move here. So I guess I'm gonna look at the time. Okay, we've got time. Let's talk about the script here. Well, actually, let me remind you. I forget what turn it was that we pinged this throne, but I know that the Indie force there's a big blob of cavemen to the north over here, and then down here, back here is a fire mage doing fire elementals. So here is our deployment. We've got a bunch of heavy cav down here. They are on hold and attack rear, and hopefully they're going to go kill that mage before he can summon too many fire elementals. Then we have a bunch of longbowmen here, and then a few extra indie crossbowmen. They're just on hold and fire, so they're just going to shoot at the cavemen. And then I've got my, I've actually got my wardens in the back line because the cavemen that we're fighting, you know, they do kind of 20 damage, so they can do damage beyond my protection here. So if I want to lose anybody, I want it to just be disposable heavy infantry. I want to conserve my sacreds as much as possible. And these guys will contribute. On hold and attack closest, they'll fire 2 rounds of crossbows and then go into melee. And so in this position, what'll happen is the fight will be joined around here. The fight will be joined around here. And these guys will fire, and after they fire, they'll kind of trickle into the north, and these guys will trickle into the south to kind of get the surround. So I'm expecting these guys to take the brunt of the damage, and these guys to contribute a lot of DPS. Meanwhile, we do have our prophet here, so he's doing divine blessing for everybody, and all of these Lord Wardens are on fire rear, and because commanders can be scripted that, so hopefully these guys are going to snipe some of the indie mages that are going to be trying to summon skeletons or elementals or something back there. And then the last component, of course, is we've got our 3 mages, we've got 2 communion slaves, and our communion master. All he needs is Communion Master, Phoenix Power. So Communion Master brings him up to Fire 2. Phoenix Power brings him to Fire 3. And then with 2 Fire Gems, he can do Flaming Arrows. After that, Summon Earth Power for Reinvig, and then Twist Fate, just in case something bad happens. Meanwhile, the Prophet, I've put him in the Communion too. And, you know, this is a balanced Communion. The Fire spell is obviously going to put a lot of fatigue on these guys. But afterwards, you know, Fanaticism doesn't take a lot of fatigue. In fact, it takes none. You know, they'll be Reinvig, they'll be Air Shield. They'll do like, the other spells are not going to drain a lot of fatigue on this Communion. So this is going to be safe. I don't expect to burn out any of the Communion slaves. So that's the script for this fight. Yeah, so we are kind of, Diplo has been quiet for the last few turns, and we are struggling to get our infrastructure up, but honestly it's because we are putting a ton of infrastructure. Like, it's only turn 18, we have our capital, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forts up, one of which is already a castle, not quite a citadel. Next turn we're going to be taking this throne, so we're going to want to put another fort up. So it's taking a while to put get our infrastructure up, but it is really early. So we're hoping those multipliers kind of start to kick in. Yeah, and I'm now, I'm trying to keep an eye out for Tianqi here, because I really do want to take this throne. And what I'd like to do is maybe swing by some of these troops after I take this throne, and try to get this one. Now, I've decided to take the throne and not go after Sitis immediately, just because I'm not too sure diplomatically what's going on. I feel like there's a lot of this is the calm before the storm. I feel like a lot of wars might erupt soon, and although Sitis is small, I'm not worried about fighting Sitis. I'm worried that if I fight Sitis, he's gonna, call out and panic and say like, "Oh no, Sakne is attacking me. Help! He's strong. He's a good player. Team up on him." And that would be a great excuse for Tianqi, who's played by General Confusion, by the way, a very strong player, to come and attack me. So I kind of want to have more assurances. I mean, we have a nap 3, so this is not a problem. Oh, something I might have failed to mention is we discovered what his bless is. I don't know if I had mentioned this in the last recording session I did. I don't know if I knew this at the time. Let's actually, we got time in this session. Let's load up the next turn here, which is turn 19. I thought I might, okay, I'll tell you what his bless is. Tianqi's bless is Thunder Weapons and Twist Fate. So that is air and astral. So that's a pretty good, I think that's a totally legit bless. Because Thunder Weapons, like these guys have, first of all, an attack. Weapon blesses are pretty good on Sacred Archers because you can apply that attack at a distance. Thunder Weapons does AN shock and fatigue damage. So quite, definitely works well, but also it works great on cavalry because you have multiple attacks, right? You got on your first turn, you're going to have 3 attacks, and after that you have 2 attacks per turn. So makes a lot of sense. And then Twist Fate negates the first attack that successfully hits you. And he's got pretty high defense. So, that's a great synergy there. Most attacks aren't going to hit, and then once it finally does hit, it doesn't do anything because it gets negated by Twist Fate. So that works very well, I think. The other thing to remember is that Tianqi, late age Tianqi gets a national summon spell, a battle summon spell, which summons these little ghosts. They're ethereal 1-hit point ghosts, and they have an attack which does like, I don't know, I think it's not drain life, it's like paralyze, I think, or something. But they're sacred, and that means that useless kind of paralyze, I think it's a paralyze attack. It's not a very strong attack, but now it also gets Thunder Weapons and Twist Fate on it. So that's actually a great bless to go on those summons. So that's a good bless that synergizes both with the recruitable sacreds and the summonable spammy kind of death ghost sacreds. Okay, we won this battle, but this also happens now, which is pretty significant. So let's first of all look at our battle. Here's the glob of cavemen, and boom. So our strategy worked. I forget though which mage this is. So right, we have our line of Lord Wardens here on fire rear, and because of the divine blessing and just the range of the battlefield, they can reach the back line. And so this guy, who is going to make, I don't know, some kind of water or air elemental, who knows? Look at those bolts come in. Pew, right to the heart. Okay, so here comes our first fire elemental. Communion Master going off. Here we've got, so these arrows here are just actually these guys. I didn't script them to fire closest. They're just on fire. But I don't mind them hitting the back here because, so the longbows have very high range, because if they kill this mage back here, that's even better than shooting at these cavemen. As you can see, this is sort of as I had predicted. Now we have flaming arrows up, by the way. These guys in the front took the initial blow, and then my guys here are wrapping around on both sides. And you can see some of them have already been hit by decay. Meanwhile, you know, I was afraid that these heavy cav would get caught up by the big fire elemental, the first summon. But because of the positioning here, this guy just went to the middle of the field, and so my guys are going to be able to run right into these mages, which is fantastic news. And you could see, like, my heavy infantry plus the wardens have just caused a rout right away. Like, there's, this is just an HP. Like, we just slaughtered all of these units, plus they're under, you know, we're under flaming arrow fire. This is just a murder there. This guy has managed to dodge all of the arrows, except now he's morale routed, but he's somehow managed to dodge the arrows. Meanwhile, we missed it, but the heavy cav did their job, and they killed the mage summoning the fire elemental. So the only thing left is this big old fire elemental. Now, obviously, flaming arrows is not super useful here, because this guy is very fire resistant. And he is ethereal. Yeah, like, actually, can I see how he died? I'm curious to see if, I'm not sure if he, yeah, I'm just curious. Let's see. Warden, Defender, I mean, there's so many attacks that eventually